Hey, welcome back. Since we got this old tractor going, I think we're gonna get back here and get on this old bush hog and see if we can get that thing straightened out. So let's do a little walk around here and see what kind of projects we're gonna get into today. So we'd looked at this old bush hog on the previous video, but I don't know that we really got in detail on it. So obviously this is messed up. Got a big old chunk bent back in right here. And so I got an idea on getting that fixed, but more than that, we talked about also these wells being broke right here. I think that one right there is even broke too. Looks like that one's good up there. Well, I was looking at this morning, and so in here, the wells on this side are good all the way up through there. So I got down there and looked under that thing. If I can get you situated there where you can see that. See that big old crack? So it's cracked all the way up through there. And that's, of course, this has all been welded and broke back loose. So that thing's cracked underneath this up through there. It's welded good on that side. This side's broke loose. And this whole side of the bush hog is kind of coming up at an angle. So I think the first order of business is we'll take this old wheel mount loose right here, because it's bolted down to here, and we'll just flip this up out of the way so we can get a jack under here and kind of jack that up and see what we can do. This side over here is not as bad. Of course, it's all broke loose right here, bent down, got a big old crack in it right there. But the wells are pretty good the rest of the way up through there. This side's also bowed up a little bit right there. So, the old gearbox and everything's pretty good. The blades didn't look that bad. It's had a little bit of engineering going on up here at some point. Somebody's took a piece of, almost looks like a piece of strut cut down or something there. And a piece of all thread that they've welded in that spot there. And that seems to be holding. I don't know what we'll do with that. One little piece at a time. So, let's see, this fold right here is bent in. Nuts broke loose, be good to bend that back out. And see if we can't maybe fix that right there a little bit. So, gonna be quite a bit of grinding, bending, and welding to get it back to where she's about halfway solid. So let me get you set up here, and we'll start right here, and we'll just see what we can get into. Yeah, it didn't really like it, but it done it. I'll bring you back in a second. All right, we'll bring you back in here and see what we've got up to this point. Of course, we got some pieces laying on the floor here and a bunch of grinding dust everywhere. So it's easier, I think, just to cut this mess out. And what I'm thinking is I'm gonna get a piece and put in the back of that's gonna curl out right here and match this, or as close as we can. And might drill some holes in this. Depending on, I gotta see what I got up there, scrap wise. If I can get a piece in behind that and drill some holes in this, clamp that on there and plug weld it, and get this where I can straighten it up. And then I can weld around some of this junk. Maybe put a patch on this out here. If need be, we can flip that thing over and then weld it on the inside. It'll be a lot easier to get to just to put it on the outside, but I don't think it'll be as strong. We'll just look at it more when we get into it. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking at the moment. And we'll probably come back in here and do some little short welds right here. It's probably not a good idea to weld it the whole way, because if it starts cracking, then it just cracks the whole way. So if you got, I mean, you see from the factory, they don't weld the whole way, they just weld in spots. And we may have to do some kind of brace off of this piece of angle iron. I don't know. We'll look at it. Like I say, take it a little bit at a time and see how it, see what kind of ideas we have as we do it. We'll jack this back up, get this back up here where we can kind of weld that in. Same thing over here and here. So, and I may stick a couple of more tacks right in here just for good measure on that. So, all right, let me go up there and see what kind of scrap metal I can find, and I'll get back with you and we'll go from there. All right, I'll bring you back and show you what we got up to this point. I went ahead and jacked that thing up and put jack stands all the way around on it, basically, just to hold it up there. And went up there and pulled out some scrap metal that I got there. And I'm thinking I'm gonna use one of these. I may have to cut, and it's gonna be easy. Come down here and cut one of these ribs off where it's just coming down and up like this, and turn that around. Sorry about that. Turn that around and run it up the back there, and let that lip right there sit right out here on this. That's kind of the idea I got. This one I've done been monkeying with it a little bit. I figured out that I cut that notch in, slide that right in there, and that makes for a good leverage to bow that back down. So I've got about 3 more of these up there. I'll go get another one to cut to use for this side right here. And then, let me back it up here. So if I cut, if I can cut right along this side down through there, then I can use this piece to be my lip right down here. And and probably go inside, and I can weld on some of this, and some of this we may end up having to flip it over and get in there to weld underneath it. Kind of got this beat out a little bit right here, and got a piece just stuck in there where I could kind of straighten that out a little bit. I don't know that I will weld that in there, but it's kind of coming along as far as getting it straight. And I just about got this one pulled back up where I can re-weld this little piece here. And but I think the first one I'm going to weld is going to be on this side. I've got this piece here, got me some holes. Actually, them holes is already in that, which worked out great. So I'll plug weld those and weld that around right there. This was all bowed in and broke around that right there, so we'll get that done. And then that piece that was going to cut off of that angle on the other side, the little piece, I think we can lay it down this right here, and so we can re-weld that. And I actually took my saw and cut that where this was all bent up, and that was popped over top of itself where I could get that straightened out. But if we can get another piece we can weld on top of that and smooth that up, that'll be pretty good. This side's still bowed up a little bit. Maybe I'll take that piece over here and bend this down. If we bend this down, this right here is gonna, we'll have to jack this up. This whole thing is like kicked up that way. We need to get it back here and get this welded back. So I think I may just set you up over here. I don't know if we'll do a time lapse or it's hard to watch welding. It just kind of messes up everything. But I'll see if I can get this piece welded in right here, and we may tack a little bit around this one right here, and then we'll have to beat that up a little bit right in there. I don't know, we may put a piece angle in here. Again, we're just going a few steps at a time until we can get get it welded in. And so I hadn't showed you very much, but I've worked quite a bit on this. I've spent 3 hours on this, grinding and beating and banging. And I took that rest of that piece off right there. And I don't know that I'll even put that back on there because he wasn't using that wheel at all. We may cut that thing up and use it as a brace coming off here. I don't know, it's just an idea. So I'll bring you back when we got something else to see. All right, we bring you back here. I set you up over there and forgot to turn the camera on, so I'll just bring you up to speed on what we got here. I did weld that little straight piece down through there. It kind of blew out on this right here, but we're gonna try to put a piece on that anyway, so I don't think that really matters. So I got this piece kind of beat in there, and well, you saw it a while ago, had them C-clamps on there and pulled it together and got that welded up. So it looks pretty decent. So come on around here. I put C-clamps on this from the top down to here and pulled that up. And I welded way up under in there. I ground that out and welded it, and then come back and welded on top of it. Then actually I welded back down this way. So there is a gum of weld on that. And I ground it down a little bit. I mean, it doesn't look no worse than that, but and we cleaned up a little bit of this junk here and welded a little more of that. And hit this a few things right here, was able to weld that and weld some of this, and of course some of it blowed out, it's all rusty. We may end up putting a L piece on that or something. Same thing with this one over here. It pretty much did about the same thing, but got it welded in there, got it pulled back up and welded across here. And yeah, it's booger weld, but it's holding. Kind of welded those down through there over here, and put that little old plate on there and welded around it and plug welded it. So we still got that gap and all that mess that we got to deal with. I've got this bowed down a little bit from what it was before. So she's looking a lot better. Still gonna have to get in there and run that piece down this way. So we'll pick up on that next. So it's looking a lot better already. So I'll bring you back when we get a little bit more. All right, so I'm back. It's a new day. I'm back in the shop. Already been tinkering this morning. I'll flip you around here and show you what I got here in a second. Went up there and got me another piece of scrap metal and brought it back down here. So we'll get right into it. All right, so basically I just got this piece of metal set on there and tied on with a C-clamp. I'm gonna try to take the old Sawzall and cut it right on that edge right there, down through there. May have to flip it around and finish up the cut, but that'll get me started. Also, I got thinking this morning, found a few little old scrap pieces and pushed them under that. Well, you can't see it, it sticks out right there. You can see that one on the back there. Kind of stuck them all the way through there where that's got a crack. That one up there actually isn't cracked. It's cracked underneath this one, all the way back to, I don't know, right in here somewhere. So I might try to weld around that, plug weld that one, and weld around those, and then we'll get in there and see if I can jack this back up. And I don't know if I may just try to weld that and see what it does if it starts blowing through, because that ain't real thick and it's rusty under there, so it don't take much to blow through on that. We may have to take a little piece of this and bend me some angles and put it on there where I can weld to the thick angle iron up there and get out here far enough that I can get some good metal. So I can bend several of them and cut them and put them on there and weld them. That might be just the best thing to do. And some of them's got holes in them already, which is fine. Makes for, them plug welds work good, really help them hold. So anyway, let me back up here. Probably gonna put you on a time lapse and we'll see if we can get this cut and we'll get started. All right, a little update here on what we've got. So I got this piece put in there and got it welded in. And so kind of the way that went in there, this part right here is on the front of that, but then it went behind this part here. And then where we cut that piece off here, it kind of, this piece goes on down here, so it kind of wedges up in there. And we drill those holes and plug welded them 3 spots there. And you kind of see on the back we had plug weld from the back, and I hit it a couple of spots on the back in there, but it's really hard to weld on the underneath. I'll give you a shot of the underneath there, but it's kind of I may try to hit it a couple more times, but that rust, it just don't like that rust whatsoever. And I actually used that piece right there to hold. I'll have to knock it off with a hammer. That weld kind of got into it right there. I just used my C-clamp to hold that little piece right here in here to fill that gap. So what I'm thinking is I may take this old piece up here and cut some of it. I don't know, it's hard to do that with one hand, but anyway, kind of have a piece running down this way. I'm not sure yet. Still kind of, and I could cap that piece off of here. So we'll see. I may try to get a piece over top of this right here. So obviously that's where we cut all that garbage out that was all beat up, and we just put that, I just put that piece in there too, so it's kind of stuck in there behind that and kind of spot welded around through there. And then right here where this transition was, I couldn't weld. That piece right here was so rusty going down there, it would like just splatter, bust out everywhere. So I beat this little old piece in there and kind of welded it in and hold that transition there. So I'm gonna clean that up, try to get a little bit more weld around this right here. And then on the other side over here, that piece that we cut off earlier there, I'm thinking we'll set it right here. I just took that angle grinder with sanding disc on it and ran down through there. I don't know, that don't feel real thick, so I'm a little iffy on that. I can weld to this new part right here, no problem. And this part right down here is way thicker than that other part. So if I can get it to weld down here and up here, and I'll pinch it down there with a clamp or vice grip or something. And we'll try a couple spots in the middle, but I'm not real sure that we're gonna be able to get anything to weld there. That old rusty metal and it thin, that rust makes it want to splatter, and it's just about impossible to get a weld on it. But we're coming along pretty good, I think. So may set you up on time lapse again, and we'll knock out a little bit more of this stuff, get that piece cut down there, kind of figure out what else we want to do there. Pretty much kind of want to match this side with that other side over. I think I got it at 44 inches coming out right there right now. And that's about what that one is there too, 44 back through there. So might just try to match that up. And this side's a lot simpler, a lot cleaner, and we'll go from there. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, so let me bring you back here. Got this side welded in, and was able to get a pretty good weld back here and on that end right there, and throw a few spot welds in there. That one right there blew all the way through, and I just come back and daubed over it and got that hole stopped up. But that old thin rusty metal don't weld real well. Got a couple pretty good welds there and got a good in there, so I don't think that's going anywhere, and it's sitting on top of that other lip that was there, so I believe that'll be good right there. And around here on the other side, I went ahead and took a piece, and if you got symmetrical OCD, you ain't gonna like that because that's at an angle. But that's kind of the way our damage was, so I lined it up with where the damage was, and I actually had to put these self-tapping screws in there. I could probably pull them out and just spot weld that now, but to be able to hold that up there to weld it, that I couldn't get my clamp up that high to pinch on it, so ran them self-tapping screws in there. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt nothing, I might leave them. And got that all burned in. On the bottom, just tacked it every so often. I had a couple of holes I drilled, let's see, there and there, that a plug weld. Rest of them just little tack welds. It's hard to get down there and weld that on the bottom. And then I capped this piece here back over the top of it. So I believe she's burning in there pretty good. I don't think that's going anywhere. It's way sturdier than what she ever was. So I think I'm gonna call it a day. Tomorrow we'll try to pick back up, get these here burned in up here, and I put that jack back under there. As you can see, I kind of got it up pretty high. Need to try to re-weld these and weld around those, but we'll have to take the drill with the brush and knock that paint and rust and stuff off where we can get a good bite on the weld there. But we get those welded in right there, and I believe it's going to be pretty solid. So I'll bring you back when we got some more to see. There you are. Come over here, I got something I want to show you. A little bit more of an explanation on how we put this piece in here. So there you are. So I wanted to give you a little bit better explanation how to put this thing in here right here. So you know, we used a piece just like this right here, and of course it's obviously turned backwards to what we're looking at right here, but so I took and cut a piece of this channel part off, top and bottom, so then it's just a flat piece that fits right up in here. And so where we cut it down to is sitting right here. So when you put that on there and put it up in there, that channel piece cups on the bottom of that right there. And with this on here, that holds this end up. So when I pull it up down there on the other end, it pulls this piece in tight. And of course then down there on the other end, get you where you can see that, we welded this to this big thick piece up here. And also you can tell from the other side where we welded it from the other side around that piece that we cut up, and there was a big gap up right here, and we got it welded right there. And so then we put that other piece on top of it over there that we screwed in. That's the back of them screws right there that I ground off. So and did a couple little tack welds right there, and then there's that extra piece that we added in there. So that bad boy is pretty stout right there, and I don't believe that there's any way that that's going to fall down. You know, being welded there, and then we put the other piece on top. So we'll go back up there and look at it on the top too. And I've been thinking, and I gotta turn you around here. I've been thinking, and I got a couple more ideas I want to show you on the back right there. So let's go check that out. All right, so come on over here and look at this. All right, so I took one of these pieces that we've used for just about everything, and Stuck it on there and kind of beat it in to meet that curve going up onto that right there. And I've drew me out a little notch right here and a piece on the bottom. I'll take it back off and cut it here in a minute. But I think if I cut that notch out right there and weld this top, weld down through here, and I can do them plug welds right there and take a hammer, bend this over a little, bend that over a little bit. And then where I cut this on the bottom right here, I'm gonna fold it up on the bottom so it'll be holding up on that mechanically because it's bent around it. And we'll have it welded. I don't even think we'd have to weld that on the inside. But we got it welded up here, then it's welded to this thick stuff that's above where it keeps cracking loose there. And so it's obviously they welded it before and it broke loose again. So I'm thinking my weld may not end up being no better than theirs. So this is my idea to fix that. So anyway, that'll get us welded from the thick part to the thick part and have it mechanically sandwiched on the bottom and on the top right there. And that should keep that from ever breaking again. And then right here on the top, remember we had these pieces that's metal's real thin, and I tried to weld it and it blew through. So if I take a piece of this and lay it right up in there, weld it down here on this thick part and hit it a few times up there, that'll cover up that damaged part, and that's also going to help hold this to this. And if we can weld it into this angle iron here on the top, that'll help that a whole lot. And then I may have to cut another one because where this is damaged right here is closer back. This one over here is farther up. So I need a longer piece, and both of these I've got are pretty much the same. So I've got a scrap piece over there. I may bend another 90 on and get it on out here past where this is damaged and beat it in there, and we'll do the same thing. I think I'm going to use one of these just like that over here as well. So we'll have already beat that one in there. So it's not hardly a 90, it's a little less than a 90. So I'll beat that one in over there. So basically I'm going to do this side, works out pretty good, and we'll go over here at the other side and do the exact same thing. Kind of what I'm thinking this morning. And of course then we got to get back up here and get on these pieces that we've stuck through there, and I'll show you a little bit more on that in a minute. So all right, so let me bring you back around here and I'll give you a little bit of an update on what we got on this thing. Let me just flip you around. We'll get a close-up look. All right, so we got that side on there. Got it all bent up under there. Welded around, beat around, so that's holding that thing together. And got that one on there covered up where it was all cracked and busted there. Same thing over here, and pretty much the same thing with this. So that's looking pretty good, I think. So we don't like a whole lot more, but I ran out of welding rods, so I'm gonna have to make a run to town to get some welding rods. Basically just get these right here welded in, and I think we're good. I actually used my last rod and welded that little old spot in right there. It was bent down like that, so I'd put the jack under it and jack it up where I could weld it. So there'll be a little bigger crack there than there usually was, but I think we get that jacked up. We can weld this and then weld around them, and I think that thing will be good. So I'll bring you back when we got a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna work on this seat for a minute. I'm gonna see if I can't get these little old plates off right here. And those screws are so rusty, I know they ain't coming out. So I'm gonna try to cut them down and then maybe hit them a little bit with the grinder on top of it. And then we'll flip them up and see if we can get them loose. And we'll go from there. So that's what I come up with. Actually I found a piece of scrap pipe up there that was 18 inches, so I cut it in half, 9 inches, and that's about perfect for what we need. And I went over there and found a couple of Phillips screws here that got the rounded head and some shoulder bolts or nuts. So what I'm thinking is drill that right through there, put that little rounded head bolt through there and put the nut on it, tighten her up, and that'll hold her in place. And it won't be scratching yarn up or whatever, rounds off the armrest. So see if I can get me a spot marked on this drill. Yeah, that won't be beaten yet. Give you a little something to prop up on if you need to. This seat's way too high for this thing. As far as I'm concerned, I ain't fat enough to mash it down. Maybe that's what it is. Might need some highway bars up here. All right, let me drill this other one. Thought of something else. I ain't gonna do it, but it'd be an idea. This ain't the right size male adapter, but if you got the right size male adapter and put on that, you might have to notch where that screw is. Get you just a PVC plumbing cap that you can screw on that right there, and to block off the back of that right there. But you can make that a little old toolbox. Because on the tractor, I always need like a pair of pliers or something. Let's see what fits in there. Yeah, you fit a pair of pliers in there. Screwdriver. Look at that. Had you a cap on that. Have to block off that back piece. Like your little mini toolbox or something. Put your M&Ms or your Reese's Pieces in there. Whatever. Anyway. We basically just wanted to get them old beat up armrests where they wouldn't kill you. I think that'll work like a charm right there. What do you think about it? Put it in the comments. Even if you think that's the stupidest idea you ever seen, I can come up with something stupider, I promise you. Alright, so I done come up with another brainstorm here. Got an old bolt stuck through this right here. So I got my drill me a hole through that. I got one of these little old pins. So I'm gonna cut that off right here. I might take the grinder and kind of slick up the end of it where I can flip that clip over it. Because without a nut on that, I ain't got a nut, but I did have a clip. So And that's going to be better. So if you needed to take the implement off, you can just pull that out, knock that out, and you're good to go. So not there needs something done to it. I don't know if I'll tackle that one or not, but I'll bring you back here in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So what this is that's a bolt for a gate, like you screw it in the post and set your gate on there or whatever. So apparently he didn't have a pin for the tractor, so he used that. So I ground that off, drill me a hole in there, and I'm gonna cut that off, round that off. We'll put another pin through that, and we'll make a pin out of it. So there you go. 2 pinned farmer hack. Easy to get in and out. And that, well, I think these cost 79 cents at Tractor Supply. So I sprayed a little bit of that barbecue grill paint on that thing there. Make it look a little better. Looks pretty good, I think. Over and picked up some more welding rods. I even got me a real pair of welding gloves. I'm gonna pull this thing outside and we'll weld up the rest of these pieces here. It's pretty cool outside. I have been setting up and welding in here with the fans on and blowing the fumes out and stuff. But I think today I'm just gonna pull it out right outside here and set it up and weld a little bit. So there she is. Try to maybe do some before and after pictures. Alright, so here's pretty much the finished product. I was able to get that angle iron kind of melted in and tied into that thin metal without it blowing through too bad. And got our little pieces burned in there. I redid those wales all the way up to the front there. So I believe with those pieces run under it and then tied in over here on the other side, that should make that whole thing a lot steadier. Alright, so it was my intention to do a test drive and bush hog with this thing for the closeout of this video. The time's got away with me, and I'm going to have to get some editing done and get this posted if I'm going to get a video out this week. Might do an upcoming video, kind of a short video on this old tractor, and we'll try to do a test drive on it. But another thing, when I pulled it out of the shop here, those carburetors loading up like crazy. You know, we didn't put a kit in that carburetor. We just cleaned it up and put it back together. So I think I'm going to order a kit and go ahead and pull that carburetor back off and see if we can't get her tuned in right. And I was looking on the internet. There's really not a lot of good detailed videos on these old tractors. So I think what I might do is do a couple of short ones, and I'll have them coming up here next couple of weeks. One with, you know, point gap, kind of showing how to set the points, plug gap, firing order, that kind of thing. And this carburetor might do a little close-up, step-by-step on rebuilding that carburetor. And then we'll do a drive out and show the old bush hog in action. So I appreciate you watching, and like, subscribe, share. We'll catch you on the next one.